Hello, I'm Wenjing. Today I will talk about my research paper, How American Popular Music Has Misappropriated American Indian Culture. In my opinion, I think the pop culture is a combination of the authentic cultures and a mass product. It means that the long-standing traditions and history of different nations successfully exist. At the same time, they are integrated into the modern pop music and visual tendency. Because of the immoral commercial desire, and the original meaning is lost, and cause a social problem difficult to change. American Indians are depicted and played as an embarrassed part of the modern pop culture with their established characteristics, like they like hunting and truculence and so on. Music is one of the first to be built into a close relationship with American Indians. For example, seeing red face is a kind of negative concept from the 19th century, means that consisted in portraying the Indians according to their traditional characteristics. In other words, non-natives perceive American Indian based on enduring stereotypes and the significant events in the past, and especially their roles in the development of modern Thanksgiving Day. And this kind of negative concept deceives the nation correctly incorrectly in a disrespectful way. Yes, I mean in a disrespectful way. Blackface means Chelsea is a significant cultural event of the 20th century. It's a kind of theater which white actors were made up of African Americans and showed typical things from the lives of this race. It has a clear connection to race facing things both of them depict minority in a degrading and stereotyped form by the representatives of another race or ethnicity. And I think the racial antipathy consists of unconsciously and consciously dividing people according to the color of their skin or nationality and the corresponding honor of typical stereotypical characteristics. It means that each nationality and race is perceived according to their traditions and habits, and they are incorrectly interpreted. For example, the Indian giver is an apparent misconception and an outdated concept, since it's too generalized to represent Native Americans. In this way, racial antipathy makes passively influence in modern pop culture. Idealized sympathy is a collective designation that means assigning the characteristics of one culture to another more powerful one. In other words, culture of nationalities that has experience in attributing other people's characteristics can depict the actions in the first person. The established objects of Indian culture is the use of physical attributes like the household items, weapons, clothes, and the hats. An art element is like songs, dances, musical instruments, and the related events like hunting and holding the first Thanksgiving Day. And cultural misappropriation is a phenomenal concept. It's characterized by incorrect and false borrowing and using of the characteristics of other cultures. It's important that the of this term borders on its inspiration and legal appropriation, which takes place in modern pop music. Cultural misappropriation also becomes the source of risk that loses the true national spirit and words spreading culture. Cultural confusion is a derivative concept that arises after the incorrect use of the characteristics of Indian culture. America is a multinational country with a steady presence of numerous American Indians in history. It's essential to understand that the misappropriation and voice appropriation is an ethical violation, and it has the prospect of a breach of the public understanding. In the exact specifics and uniqueness and characteristics of American Indian culture. And plain Indian is another art form that was created because of the stereotyping of the public. It makes a specific image of Indians. They are often militant savages who wear like fancy hats or clothes with the feather. Some children-themed songs have cultural overtones and impropriety. For example, the song "I'm a Little Indian" tells about Indians who have bows and arrows and continuously to shout. The song makes an image that the most stereotyped and familiar in modern pop culture, and as a sign of seeing red hat. It was supposed to be sung at home and at school on Thanksgiving, but because of that, the song risks creating a cultural distortion of real history for children. American pop culture is a diversified industry that is capable of cultural misappropriation. For instance, the constant stereotyped attributes of American Indians, such as tomahawk, bow, arrows, and dancing, became part of pop culture, which created a negative tendency to generalize and distort the true roots of this culture. And the problem is that singing and playing red hat in different degrees generate an understanding of the Indians as a single nationality that performs specific similar actions, regardless of the geography and the time. I think this is not only desecration of traditional history and culture, but also the ideable stereotype and the distortion of national culture, and I think it's really not respectful. Thanks.